A favourite memory from the last few Marillion weekends that we've been doing, I think, was the reaction from the Italian fans. Just brilliant, outstanding. Took a breath away, actually.
The crowd were as crazy and as excited and appreciative of the band as any crowd I can remember. Really, it was a really amazing reaction.
I mean, just the response from the audiences, really, especially in Padua and Montreal. They've all been fantastic, but those two sort of stick in my mind. But Leicester was great. It's really hard to pick out a favourite in a lot of ways, but just amazing audiences at all of them.
Well, God, there's loads, but people clapping from beginning to end at Portland, map of the world. That was a bit special.
It's hard to have one thing, you know, because every weekend has some great moments. We got our great audience, haven't we? We really have. Thank you.
For the rest of 2023, I'm basically going to be getting really old, and then I'll just carry on travelling the world wherever Lucy wants to go. I'll just follow in her footsteps.
I've got all this confused in my head. It's been quite a confusing couple of months because I've had a lot of solo shows coming in, and I've put them in, and now I don't know when they are. We're having a family holiday by Lake Como, not in Lake Como, but by Lake Como, in the Italian lakes. Pretty lovely. Then I'm going to Denmark for August for another holiday. And I'm hoping Lynetta doesn't make me break any more rocks or carry any more heavy things long distances, or give me a paintbrush or any of that. Hopefully it'll just be a holiday. And then in September, I've got some other stuff. I think I've put some other H shows in. But between now and the end of the year, I'm playing quite a lot of H Natural shows. I'm going to be in Rome at the end of the year as well. I'll be in Poland in December. December's Łódź and Rome, and I'm sure I've missed a few out as well. Oh, Barcelona and Madrid, which I'm doing for my friend Gabriel, and he's got a charity that basically raises money to give kids eye operations in parts of the world where they can't afford them. So I'm going and doing that for that. I can also proudly and excitedly say that in November, Marillion will be returning to the boards for a little whiz round Europe, 2 nights in Utrecht, Strasbourg, Paris, not necessarily in this order, and we're playing 2 or 3 shows in the UK. And finishing at the Roundhouse in Camden.
September, doing solo shows throughout the Netherlands, Scandinavia, Germany, Poland, and get back and start rehearsing for our tour in November, Marillion tour in November, and that will kind of take us through till sort of the end of November and December. Yeah, just kind of do some more work on my 3 different albums I'm trying to make in my spare time.
So next thing I do in 2023 is I watch my eldest son Callum get married. I'm going to be doing some writing for Edison's Children. We have a nice location in mind, so that would be nice. It'd be a nice vibe, and we'll sit around with guitars, nodding our heads, hoping we're creating something amazing, and hoping we're recording it at the same time.
I'm going to Brazil for a month in August. It would be nice to start working on some new material, and I've thought about doing another marathon album, but I feel like I'd rather, if I'm feeling creative, try and come up with some ideas to go on the next Marillion album. So I think I'm going to start putting aside some time just to do my little bit of jamming at home, get some good sounds together for when we actually regroup, because quite often when we're jamming, I'm much happier if I've actually prepared some sounds, like a palette of sounds to work with, rather than just randomly selecting stuff. If I've got things that I know I like and are inspiring to play with, it really helps the process for me. So I'll probably do some prep basically for when we're actually going to be in the studio again. I know the rest of the guys have got touring coming up, and H is doing dates and Rollers is doing dates, so I might go and watch them.
I think over the years with our writing process, I mean, everyone knows that most of our material starts out as jams, but I think it's great that over the years we don't really have any boundaries anymore. We just go in and play what we feel. I think some of our best material's coming out of that approach.
It's a strange thing writing an album, and it's always been the same, really. We don't like to push ourselves into a place where we feel uncomfortable about having to be creative. It's much better just to be creative when you're not really thinking about it. I mean, some people, Elton John used to just sit down and he could write songs. We don't really work in that way. We jam, and we like to, we've got a whole library of ideas and little bits and pieces, and sometimes they're noises, and sometimes they're half a verse, and sometimes they're almost a complete song. We've got lots of things that we could draw from. One of the things I would like to keep up, actually, and take on from the last album is the kind of energy and the momentum. Not always the energy, is it? But the momentum of a sense that the songs are always evolving and changing. We kind of deliberately meandered with Fear. We took the Floyd approach of, well, let's not change this too much at the moment. Let's stay on this, mood for a bit. And with An Hour Before It's Dark, we kind of sped that whole thing up, so the songs have a sense of movement to them. And I'd like to keep that.
We certainly don't turn up with lots of music prepared. As I mentioned earlier, I try and prepare sounds, but that's not the same thing. I don't generally come into the studio with a musical idea or two to play to the band. I mean, in fact, the last time I can remember actually doing that was the Sky Above the Rain, exactly. That piano part, I actually wrote that at home, but that's quite unusual for me. So when we're jamming, it's what everybody else plays that is what I bounce off, and I think how everybody else works. So it's, quite often I might work on a part that's got some interesting chords, but what Pete does on the bass can push the bass notes against the chords into areas where I wouldn't normally go. So that really, it's a very organic, evolving process, and I think everybody has really settled into that way of working really well. Whether it's H trying out different lyrical ideas over the music. I think Ian, his drumming sounds more relaxed on the studio albums, because Mike captures a lot of what he plays in the jams, when he is actually relaxed. Because quite often, I mean, it happens to me too, when you have the red light on and you're actually recording and this is it, there's that pressure tends to make you play in a slightly more uptight way, I suppose. I mean, it's just natural. So to be able to capture those jams where everybody's really relaxed and some interesting stuff is happening is gold dust, really. And that's because we've got this studio and the multi-track recording is running the whole time. You can literally record absolutely everything in high quality multi-track, and then the process of editing that into something usable is much more simple.
It's just something that happens when all five of us are in a room, really. It's just almost intangible, just a great musical chemistry. Not all the time. Sometimes it's like pulling teeth, but on a good day, there's something truly magical and almost effortless happens. And those are the moments that Mike catalogues and we come back to and develop and add different sections. So yeah, everyone brings something. I mean, Pete is the most instinctive and natural musician I've ever met. So if I'm having like a ghost of an idea, he'll start moving the bass against it, which suggests chords, which Mark will then pick up on, and Ian will join in. And if there's a lyric that Steve thinks fits that kind of mood, he will start improvising on using that lyric. So it's unlike anyone else, I think, in terms of the way that we work. Maybe at times it's a very long-winded approach to writing, as opposed to just writing ideas and we all play them. But I think you get something truly unique by that process.
We all jam together, and I try and hang whatever words I've got to hand on the music in real time. Most of that goes in the bin, as I've said before, because it doesn't work. But every now and again, something magical happens. Those moments are seized upon, and compilations of those moments are then listened to. And the brilliant Michael Hunter has the unenviable job of then trying to take those moments and work together on the song arrangements. I have the unenviable job of creating songs as well out of these chance happenstances. Not only creating songs, but trying to across the length or the width of that arrangement, the song, trying to say something worth saying, something true. And of course, after this many albums, you naturally start to think, well, what have I got left to say? But I've been thinking that to myself for the last 10. So my sole consolation is the fact that I have thought this every other time for about as long as I can remember, and still managed to come up with something. So that's the consolation. But the feeling is always, what can I possibly say now? Where can I go? That isn't just round the same circle. I've got to try and find something to say that is extraordinary and that lives up to the previous work, because nobody in this band, and certainly not Mike, nobody wants to make a record that isn't better than the one before. And that's always what we set out to do. But it is a higher and higher and higher mountain to climb, and it seems to have a more and more vertical face to get up, in the mind, at least. The band does what the band does and always has, and something extraordinary will happen. And if it doesn't, we'll wait until something does, because we're not putting anything average out.